just talk about your time?
I want to talk. I can go high to low.
So, you know. What is going on, guys? Nico Sharp here for another episode of Sharp Segments. We're going to be breaking down that World Series Game 5 victory for the Los Angeles Dodgers that allowed them to become World Series champions. It was a big victory for them as that game was going back and forth. There's so much to talk about. Have a couple different notes that I had in my book that I wanted to talk to you guys about and see what your take on was about that game. The Dodgers broke the record for the largest comeback victory, as no team has ever come down from a 5-run deficit. And they're able to find a way to crawl back in that game and ultimately winning Game 5 with a score of 7-6 over those New York Yankees. Freeman, to no one's disbelief, was named MVP after his historic playoff run. He was the first ever to hit a walk-off grand slam in the World Series history, and he hit a home run in 6 consecutive games. And when we talk about the guy you want at the plate, that was going to be your guy. Had a lot of big moments late in that game of Game 5 that we'll talk about just a little bit later. But that game had so much to talk about, whether you're a Yankee fan and Dodger fan, both emotions going back and forth. So let's break it down just a little bit. To start the game, it was the starting pitching, Jack Flaherty versus Gerrit Cole. The same matchup we saw in Game 1 of that World Series, which ended up being an ultimate classic game. So all eyes were on this one as the Yankees would try to come back from a 3-0 deficit in the game perspective. Jack Flaherty early seemed to be struggling. He didn't quite have his command, seemed to be getting behind in counts, and that's when you saw those New York Yankees getting their best swings off. It was Aaron Judge starting the party off early, having the pitch middle away, going the opposite way, sending it into right field, and sending the New York fans into a frenzy. They wanted that belief. They needed that moment from their MVP, and boy, did they get it. Aaron Judge did it for them, and it wasn't too long after. The next batter, actually, it was Jazz Chisholm, who got the party and kept it going and really brought the Yankees stadium to life. Pulled a home run towards right field, and at that point, Yankee fans, they had the feeling they were back. The energy was there, which made it very dangerous for those Dodgers. And then to come behind it, it was Gerrit Cole being unbelievable all game long. But he started off early. He had everything working. He had the sinker, slider, knuckleball, and his four-seam fastball. The sinker, slider, all staying low in the zone. That four-seam, he would elevate it a little bit, try to change the eye level of the Dodger hitters, and everything he had was working off each other. They had nice tunnel movement. You have the four-seam going. You have the sinker dropping off. You have the knuckleball falling off the table, the slider cutting across. I mean, the way he mixed up his pitch arsenal was so unbelievable, and the Dodgers just never really seemed to be able to figure him out, and there's not really much you can do when he has that kind of movement, that kind of placement, and keeping everything down in the zone. And again, it was Jack Flaherty struggling, and they had to go to the bullpen early. The Yankees, not only was Flaherty a little bit just missing and had control issues, but Yankees staying up in the count, not hitting the pitcher's pitch and making Flaherty throw a lot. And it was Flaherty only going barely over an inning, and then the Los Angeles Dodgers having to go to that bullpen. And it was the left-hander Banda for the Los Angeles Dodgers coming out for them first. And when he came in first, he seemed to have a little bit of command issues. Again, a left-handed pitcher pulling off his pitches a little bit towards his glove side, seemed to be spiking it, which looks like he may have been gripping the ball too tight, or, that's a big game, big moment. He knows that he has to shut the door in that situation. Can't let the game get away from them too quickly. Want to have a chance, you've got to give your team that chance. So Bandit came in, threw a lot of pitches early, which only raised more issues for the Dodgers with having to go to the bullpen early and Bandit coming in and throwing a lot of pitches. Back to those command issues, it was 4 walks in 3 1/3 innings pitched by those Los Angeles Dodgers. Again, the Yankees weren't taking more than the Dodgers were giving. They weren't extending the zone. It was a big game. You can see a lot of hitters maybe get chase happy, try to do too much, but it's not the case. The Yankees being very composed, taking what's given to them, and that's when the power came. You saw Aaron Judge have his home run, to start the game. That's what did it for him. That's what started the party. But when it came to the Dodgers party getting started, you have to look at that infamous top of the 5th inning. And you've been hearing so much about it, and this is where we saw the momentum change. It was 3 errors by the New York Yankees with Gerrit Cole on the mound and 5 unearned runs for the Dodgers. Gerrit Cole, again, pitching masterfully up to this point. It all started. Kike Hernandez got a base hit. He's on first base. And it was a line drive to Aaron Judge. Routine play. You see him jogging in. And that ball just tipping off his glove, getting by him. But an important note there. If it was anybody but maybe Kike Hernandez on first base, Judge could have thrown him out at second base. It's a very close play, as you see. So that could have been tucked under the rug there a little bit. But now that first error is what got the Dodgers' hopes belief. They knew that if there was their moment, it was then. And it was the next batter, a ground ball to Volpe into the 6th hole, him going across his body, making the play. The only play he had was to third, threw it to Jazz Chisholm, and he just spiked it and came across it just a little bit. And Chaz Chisholm not able to back pick it. Now there are bases loaded. Now all eyes are on Gerrit Cole. Los Angeles Dodgers have bases loaded, no outs. Now this is a chance to put up big runs. But it was Gerrit Cole settling in, getting back-to-back big outs for the Yankees. And Yankee fans are now back in it. They know that their ace has just gotten them back into this game. Bases loaded, 2 outs. You have Mookie Betts at the plate. And it was a beautiful pitch from Gerrit Cole. Ball hit off the end of the bat by Mookie Betts. A spinner to the first baseman, Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo fields it, tries to flip it to Gerrit Cole. There's nobody home. There's nobody covering first base. Gerrit Cole pointing to first base, telling Rizzo to run to it as he is not that far from the bag. Miscommunication there. Mookie Betts beats it out. And that's just the 3 errors that the Yankees had that made the game unfold, and that's all the Dodgers needed. So when you dig down that play in particular, you have the Aaron Judge routine fly ball drop. That's inexcusable. That happens, but that's a physical error. Nothing more to it. Aaron Judge will take the blame for that. Then the Volpe, a tough play in the 6th hole. It's a very tough play. Tough pick for Jazz Chisholm at third base. But there's a lot of back and forth happening with that Rizzo ground ball and Gerrit Cole not covering. That is something that you're going to see in college now run. The PFP drills. You're going to see that happen all the time. And then every coach is going to show this video that it's happening in the bigs. Do not let it happen to us. Be there, go cover first base, and that's how it's going to run. But let's break it down just a step further and what maybe happened there. When you watch the spinner go towards Rizzo, you see him, you may think it's Rizzo's fault, that he should just field the ground ball, covered first base. Because he wasn't that far from first. He could have picked it and gone to first. But you look at it a step deeper. That's a spinner. That has a very tight spin off the end of the bat of Mookie Betts. So what a first baseman has to do is if he tries to go pick it and that ball spins out and kicks out, now that ball is out of his glove and rolling towards second base. So what Rizzo does is what a first baseman naturally does. He waits back on it, lets it spin, and then it just goes into his glove. He opens up his hips to get it on the spin, and then he's going to look for Cole. So if you try to go pick it, it's a very tough play for first baseman to make. Rather, Rizzo did what first basemen, again, naturally do. Waits for it, gets the ball, has it in his glove, and gets ready for the flip. So you kind of see what Rizzo's trying to do there. Again, it's very natural for those spinners off the end of the bat, spinning towards his glove side. Then other people say, Gerrit Cole, why aren't you covering the bag? Which, again, you probably should in that scenario. That's PFPs. It's naturally to go. And you saw Gerrit Cole running towards first base. But in his mind, he may have seen it that it's a ground ball to Rizzo, and his momentum is going towards first base. He can easily get the ball and go to first. So that's just the bang, bang that's been happening. Gerrit Cole already having 2 errors happen behind him defensively. Kind of finally looks like he tried to take a breather, and right as soon as he took that breather and Rizzo stayed back for the ball, instantly can see that his mind was flushed. I mean, everything that just happened, now it's another error by the New York Yankees, 3 in 1 inning. I can't imagine how frustrating that was. So interested to see that how you guys saw it. It's very tough. It's a tough bang play for both. Obviously, Gerrit Cole should cover first base, but in that moment, I could see him saying, hey, Rizzo should have made that play. And you can see Rizzo having to catch the spinner that Gerrit Cole's going to be covering first base, and he's trying to play it safe and keep that ball in front of him. Very tough play there. It's a lot to digest, and the Yankees just could not catch a break. It's a bang play over at first base. Moving on to later in the game, it was Gavin Lux 3-2 count with bases loaded. Less than 2 outs, nobody gone. Big moment there. Just when he started to get behind the count a little bit, you see him choke up on the bat and just get the job done. Sac fly to center field, ties the game up 6-6. It was a 5-6 game, nobody out. And again, for Gavin Lux to be able to choke up and find a way to get the job done. That's what big players do in those big moments. You just cannot strike out there. During the broadcast, you can hear them talking about, you just can't strike out in that situation. Put the ball on the ground and make the defense make a play. And that's what Gavin Lux did. He flew out to the center field just far enough for the Dodgers to tie the game. Next batter up, it was Mookie Betts. He comes up with the runs on first and third. Now a tie ball game, 1 out. Again, cannot hit into a double play. And what does Mookie Betts do there? Finds a way to elevate the ball, put it in the outfield, hits a sac fly to center field. That's how you get the job done. Now the Dodgers are up 7-6. And you can tell the mentality of Mookie Betts right there, because as soon as he hits that fly ball to center field, instantly fist bumps. He knows that he got the job done. He elevated the baseball, backspun it deep, enough for the Dodgers to take the lead. And it was all the mishaps from the Yankees that the Dodgers were able to take advantage of the things going on. And later in the game, did not come back to bite them as the game was 7-6 for the Yankees, but the little mistakes like Luke Weaver picking off Chris Taylor 3 times and calling it a balk, so now Chris Taylor gets second base, moves it into scoring position. It was the little things like that that seemed to set the game apart. Seemed like the Yankees, sometimes you get beat and sometimes you beat yourselves, and it seems like that is exactly what the New York Yankees did. So that has been moments where they have struggled, but still have a chance as they have the bottom of the ninth, only down by 1. All you are is you're a blast away. You're 1 batter away from getting the job done. And you look up and you see Walker Buehler out in the bullpen for the Dodgers, started just a couple games ago. And you kind of get that feel of, obviously it's not quite what Madison Bumgarner did back for the San Francisco Giants in their World Series, but kind of that moment where you're kind of going to who's been one of your guys for a couple years now, a young arm who this year coming off so many arm surgeries and finding his way back has been a little bit inconsistent. But when he is on, that is their guy. So when you see him out in the bullpen, you're kind of getting those chills a little bit. We're like, okay, like this has been their guy. He is that electric arm. But on the other hand, you're kind of like, which Walker Buehler are we going to see? So super exciting. You see him walk out, and after that first batter, you knew Walker Buehler was dialed in. He was dialing it up. That curveball was sharp, having so much bite to it, late break. And he was able to send the World Series to a finish. Walker Buehler closed out his game, got his first save of his career as he is normally a starter. The Vanderbilt Commodore arm gets it done, and the Los Angeles Dodgers get the World Series championship trophy with a final score of 7-6. And after the game, Freddie Freeman broke down hitting and having those clutch moments, and they kind of asked him, hey, Freddie, what were you seeing in those games? What's it like, and what's your approach like when you just seem to be tearing the cover off the baseball and, about being in the zone a little bit? And his answer was so good for hitters to be able to understand. When you see hitters that are just in the zone, right, you think that they're just tearing the cover off the ball, they're just swinging at first pitch and they're getting it, or, maybe taking the pitch and then the ball just going in the gap, home run, and they're just seeing it that well. But the way Freddie broke it down, and this one quote that he was talking about, he really just talked about, he said, sometimes being in the zone means fouling off the pitcher's pitch to get your pitch. And a pitcher's pitch means, a pitch that's not in your zone where you want to drive the baseball, but it's where a pitcher is trying to put it, and he puts it right in that slot. Maybe it's a sinker low and away and has so much that downward tilt that gets a lot of swings and misses. But Freddie broke it down. He's like, if you were able to foul that off and work off the pitcher's pitch, then and they always tell you, if you can fight off those pitcher's pitches, then you can finally get your pitch. And the only way you get that is, especially in the major leagues, you're facing guys who are at the best of the game, and then you're in the World Series, you're in the playoffs, and now you're in the best of those best. That's the way you get it done. Freddie Freeman able to get his pitch by taking great pitchers' pitches, fouling it off, getting his pitch, driving the ball. It's not as easy as just, they're in the zone. They can just swing it and they're just hitting everything. No, they're really breaking it down and they're really finding ways to get their pitch. It's that take, and it's hitters like Freddie Freeman who are so mentally strong, guys like Juan Soto who got it done, who has a great knowledge of the strike zone. It's those guys that are getting it done. But MVP of the World Series was Freddie Freeman once again, and that's just a little bit why. It's kind of sad that the season's over. You can want to congratulate the Los Angeles Dodgers and the way they did it and the history that they made. But now baseball's over. It's kind of tough. You're going to switch off into the offseason now. You're already seeing teams making trades, picking up acquisitions, finding ways to build on to next year. But as of right now, the Los Angeles Dodgers are your 2024 World Series champions. Really excited to see what's going to happen in this offseason, what kind of acquisitions are going to be made, what kind of trades are going to happen, where guys end up, big marketers like Walker Buehler, big guys like Juan Soto. Those guys are going to be free agents, and they're already being asked a question. So really interested to see where those guys end up. A lot of rumors going around, but let me know what you guys think. Where are some of the big marketable guys, other big free agents in the MLB? Where do you think they'll end up? Let me know in the comments, and let me know what you guys thought of this Game 5 World Series. Do you feel like it was the Yankees shooting themselves in the foot, which a lot of people do, but just want to hear your guys' takes, what you guys saw in that World Series in total, as well as that Game 5 victory for the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's going to conclude this episode of Sharp Segments. Thank you guys for following along with me. And once again, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, subscribe to the channel. So happy to have you guys along with us. And again, if you're a sports fan, you like it, we're going to cover it. We'll see you guys for the next episode.